Hi everyone, it's Beth
Hey.
Sager with the Lex Local, and today I'm here with Lana, who is
Hi.
representing LHS For All.
Exactly.
So tell me how you got into it, what it's all about.
So I got into it because my youngest kids now at 12. So I'm kind of like out of the weeds and out of the crisis. Not out of the crisis, but still. So I'm like started looking around and what's going on in the town, and then I hear LHS, and my middle son is join LHS, and I'm like, oh wait a second. So I start reading the websites, all the materials, everything, and then I kind of found Olga Gutag, and then I found this LHS for All website, and I started talking to them, to the group, and they resonate a lot with me, with my thoughts, what I've like done through all the research, and I got involved.
Okay.
So and I got involved, and actually last night I was talking to my husband about that. Through the data, I found that in Lexington, two households support one public school student, which means if you have one kid in your household, then go talk to the neighbor who doesn't have a kid, and because they support your kid. If you have two, you got to talk to three other neighbors who don't have kids in public school. So all four of you support your two kids. I have three currently at LHS. I mean, at the public school. So I have five neighbors around. I have to go talk to them. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What about, because they pay for my kids. And that's for all. So it's LHS. It's not only for the people who have kids, but it's for the whole community, because everyone is paying, everyone is contributing.
And what does your group, what's your philosophy on this then?
So I think this is a major philosophy. And then once you start talking to other people, you have like, what do you think about my project? And people would come out, I love those fields. Like I like, because I paid, like, yeah, I personally paid for the fields. We decided to have the fields here. We paid for the skate park. We paid for this entire thing. Like it's so welcoming. It's so, but it's like it belongs to community. So if I would like to preserve the fields, I would like to preserve them. I'm all into the nature. But then on another side is like, because it's for all, can all my five neighbors afford the school which I'm proposing? Like when my in-laws were moving in, I sat down with the whole family and I'm like, okay, this is finances we have. That's what my in-laws need, but that's how fast it needs. So, and that's, let me talk to my neighbor. What does he think about attachment to my house, which I'm going to build? If I want to plant a tree, I'm going to talk to another neighbor, and does he mind my tree going there? Because it's a whole community. So involving everyone and asking for price, I mean, would my neighbors support this price? Because they're paying for that. It's not only for kids, but it's for all. So it's so saving the nature, saving the fields, saving our history here. That's one. And then cost, you need to discuss and make sure everybody's on board. And finally, the enrollment. The last week, the Lexington Observer printed a whole bunch of articles about the state LHS in the high school is in, and for me it was a surprise because my second son was out of LHS in 2014, so I have a gap, and my middle one just joined LHS, so I kind of have a gap in understanding like what LHS is all about. I looked at the data and the enrollment data, and for the last 15 years, actually 10 years, for the last 10 years, LHS enrollment was above 85% occupancy rate. So the state and all legal bodies say that in order to accommodate academic involvement of the kids, the school needs to operate at 85% occupancy. The school is right now 98. How does it bite me? It bites my son because he wants to have an enrollment. I mean, he wants to have his electives, but he's not giving because there is no space, there is no teachers. They operate at 98% occupancy. And do we plan for that? Like we needed 15% more, which means that if right now LHS is 2,400 students, in order to bring it to 85, we should build for plus 400, 2,800 at least. But then look around what's going on in the community in terms of the other new kids coming. So what there are two criteria about the unclear enrollment, and I looked through all the data. I have them run the models. So one is COVID, because what happened, at least in my neighborhood, the people were taking the kids off public schools, putting them in private. So now they're looking back and now like we're going to bring them back because it's very expensive to go in the private school. So this is one factor. The kids are coming back to public schools. Mm-hmm. Another factor that we have, unfortunately, I didn't know about it, the rezoning thing, which happens past spring in March or April. I didn't know. Like I'm working full time. I have 3 kids on my hands.
Right.
I'm so under. I'm still in the crisis mode, and all of a sudden, like, wait a second. So the state asked the Lexington to provide 50 acres for rezoning, and we say we give you 250, 5 times more. And now I look at the data, which from the builders. The building committee approved already 8 buildings to be built in Lexington. Mm-hmm. I looked how many people coming. So apparently they're very fast. The builders they'll bring about 1,000 units into our town in 2 years. 1,000 units. Let's see. In each house we have like at least 3 people. So it's 3,000 people coming. It's 10% of our town. Are we ready to provide all the communal services, everything, for 10% increase in 2 years?
Well, that's done. So, you know.
Actually, I'm not sure if it's done.
Oh, it's done.
Because I think that's for the legal bodies to decide. But what it means for LHS, it will bring another 300 kids. So we're already at 2,800, another 300, and the population is growing because we still have a great things saying about the LHS.
Right. So what do you propose then? Not to knock it, like to renovate it, like what?
So there hasn't been enough attention put for the architects to think about it. The proposal is to build a very simple not brick, but rectangular building behind the language department, which will take the students and don't touch anything. Let the students study. We build it I don't know, 2 years to build the square building. And then once it's done, transition the students from the language, math, and science into that building. You can knock down those buildings which were built in 1965. They're in pretty bad condition. But then renovate all original buildings, including the field house, including the gym, including the main building, main entrance. Do not destroy it. Like the way if you stand in front of the Lexington High and you look all the way along the Muzzy Street, you can see those columns from the depot, from the old train stations. You look that way and you look this way in the high school. Those columns, they match. So, and this way of like Muzzy Street, it's from the town, from the middle, from the center of the town, all the way to the high school. So we want to preserve this because there are a lot of people in the community, and it's a heart of the Lexington. Like you can't just destroy it and build something humongous and without actually taking into account how people live here, because we are not here only for the like kids go in school and then we leave the town. There is a community which we want to preserve here. So, and that's one of the proposals. But I'm not an architect. I can't. Like if I walk in the parking lot behind the language, it's wide, it's huge, it's humongous. So why can't we build building there? Build it fast, relieve the overcrowding of the school, and then by the time we demolish the 1965 buildings, we'll know exactly what's happening with enrollment. Because right now it's completely unpredictable. 2 years later down the road, and then we can know how much to renovate the original buildings. And they have small rooms which are not up to current code, but we don't need all rooms being big, because some communities, they need the smaller classrooms for some classes. So we can renovate if the time tells us and enrollment tells us that there has to be 200 more seats or 500 more students coming, we can add on to what is. We don't have to like knock it down completely.
And do you think this is like cost savings? Like, is this?
It is a cost saving. When my in-laws were moving in, I didn't demolish my house and build everything new. So we like, if you build just that just block building behind the language, how much it will cost? 200-300 million. So we need the town to pay for that now. It's not 700 or 800 million. It's 2 or 3, and maybe we don't have to put completely burden on the people. Maybe we can borrow from some other projects in the town. Maybe from the Community Preservation Act. Maybe from Environment Act. Maybe from I don't know, LABBB support group. There are different funds. Maybe we don't need to burden all on our residents. So we do this, and maybe we don't need to have a huge financing for that. So we build it now, and then in 2 years we look around, we make a right adjustment, and then if we need the money, if other community, if the other committees or acts from the Massachusetts cannot provide any support, then we do another override in 3 years. But we ask the entire residents, and see, this is a plan. We are saving money. We don't have to finance, because what building committee presented, you have a 700 or 800 million investment now into big school to build it right on the field, right here on these fields. The big four-story building. But then with finances for 30 years, 4.5%, which is, we can argue about the interest rate. That would come up into $1.2 billion, which I love the town. I want to live here. My neighbors love the town. They want to live. But we will be stuck paying this burden for the next 30 years. I will not be alive in 30 years. But still, somebody else will be paying that. Only for what? For that we were not looking how to spend money wisely 30 years before. So I'm very conscious about, because we might have a lot of very smart solutions how to minimize the burden. If we think about, if we talk to our neighbors.
Different, interesting perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, it's for all.
Yeah. Appreciate your time.
Okay, you're welcome.